Hey everyone, and welcome to our brand new podcast, Into the Verse, where we'll discuss all about XR. Right from what XR is to how the industry is shaping up and what kind of unique problems are being solved in the XR space, we'll discuss everything here. My name is Sagar, and I'm your host for this episode. Today with me, I have Mr. Kanav Singla, the CEO and founder of Metadome.ai. So, Metadome has been developing a lot of applications in the XR space. Kanav, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're doing at Metadome?
As you already know, some of the stuff that we are working on in Metadome, but Metadome has been in the XR space for almost 7 years now, 7 years running, I should say. And we were the flag bearers of XR coming from India in 2016 when nobody had even heard about words like AR, VR. I still remember that in one of the meetings that I went, I said the word XR and the gentleman sitting on the other side said, "What is X-ray?" Never thought XR would be the technology that I would work in. It sort of happened accidentally. And it was in a lab that I was in at IIT Delhi when one of my professors showed me a simulator where he was running a 3D reconstruction algorithm. And when I saw what that simulation was visually doing, I just fell in love with it. So after that point, I was like, okay, if this is the technology that exists today, then why can't we bring this technology to a billion people out there? It's been a very, very rewarding journey so far.
Yeah, that's a great journey, I think, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we also have with us Mr. Rahul Srivastava, who has been working in the marketing tech space since a long time. He has built a lot of innovative products, led the development of those. Maybe Rahul, you can elaborate on what you have been doing so far.
Sure, and thanks for having me on the podcast. So I've around 8 years of experience in the industry right now, and I've been in the space of martech, marketing analytics. The name keeps on evolving, but it's more about how to engage consumers in a better way, how to get them to buy products, how to retain them in the long journey, and have been lucky to work with some of the biggest brands in India and abroad, solving for channels like direct to consumer. Metaverse has been one of the key areas which I've worked on, omnichannel experiences to retention marketing, etc. So yeah, that has been a journey. And a few months back, I've started my own path with my startup called Intellimark, where we are trying to solve channel strategies for brands in terms of their pricing, their trade promotion strategies, their media planning, etc., on different platforms, offline and online. And that has been a journey. And Meta is a very special place in my heart, and when I see its potential, and very eager to discuss that today.
Why don't we start with the early phase of XR? Since Kanav, you said that you started your journey from a lab in IIT Delhi, right? What do you think was different then, and how have things evolved till now? What has been the change?
The use cases that I saw in the initial days were very linked to how will I run a large, point cloud and then stitch it together and then create a simulation. So it was mostly used in the movie industry for VFX or cinematography, where people were using a green screen. Like we see a green screen behind us today, right? And that's how the movie making industry works. So they use a green screen and then they reproduce a lot of content on top. So a lot of the principles that the movie industry used were actually being used here as well. And I think computer vision as a technology existed even in 2015. Computer graphics was not something which was that popular. The evolution of mediums, I think, had a big role to play, right? We got smartphones in our hands. We got, consoles which were able to render high fidelity graphics at our homes. So a lot of developer interest came into being. So I think between 2015 and 2017, that's what I saw. I think in those 2 years, a lot changed. Apple did come out with ARKit, if I remember, in 2017. Google came out with AR Core. They also saw that opportunity, that there are a lot of hungry developers who want to build a lot of use cases, who want to build a lot of applications. The technology is not there. And between 2015 to 2017, I think there were a lot of small companies who got acquired as well. So I remember during the Snapchat days, when Snapchat got into front camera filters, they acquired they went on an acquisition spree. They like acquired 10 companies who were building filters, who were building, facial expressions, reconstruction, leveraging computer graphics as a technology. So somebody thought, let's mix computer vision and computer graphics, and they created a game called Pokemon Go. Yeah. And that went viral. I think for 2 years, a lot of people, I think before COVID, you could go out in the park and interact with a lot of people. So it was a social occasion for computer vision, where there was a social application that multiple people were using.
There has been a whole journey in terms of first consumers or brands experiencing XR, then accepting that it will solve a problem, right? So I'd like to understand from you, Rahul, how has that been from a marketing lens? How easy it is for brands to accept that XR is a technology that they can adapt and bring some ROI out of it? What has that been like?
I think one of the first things I recall was one of the campaigns by Michael Kors back in 2018, which was the first use of Instagram filters with AR. And they did a big campaign of their sunglasses on Instagram, and it had huge virality. And that is when I think AR as a way of generating buzz and PR and reach on social media established itself. And I think that was the ad campaign of the year also by Facebook back in 2018. And after that, I think ability to do marketing using AR became like a norm. And then so many companies came in, from Coca-Cola to a lot of other brands. And then when this got merged with the whole metaverse ecosystem, there were a lot of games on Decentraland. There were a lot of very innovative kind of concepts by different brands. I remember there was a marathon in Decentraland by Rexona, and there was a get married in a metaverse concept by Close Up back then. I don't know how many people got married there.
A few got.
Yeah. So those are some of the places where it was basically a tool for creating buzz. I don't think anybody calculated the ROI of metaverse at that point, but I think somewhere around 2020 when COVID hit, that is when the whole logic of bringing an offline, similar concepts of offline to an online concept started in. I think one of the first use cases would be from Amazon, where you can check out the 3D model of your product within the ecosystem itself. So you can rotate it around and you can see it. And then from there on, try-ons started coming on, beauty tech became big, virtual stores, experiences, and a lot of other things in metaverse and meta space started coming in. Like, for example, a lot of work on health tech in terms of your skin analysis. Right now, that merges with meta, right, and creates a whole ecosystem of skin analysis, the trajectory of your skin quality enhancement, and so on and so forth. Similarly, different aspects of beauty and makeup becomes a whole set of beauty tech. The whole landscape of trying different combinations of vehicles in a dealership becomes one kind of a model. So now I think we're in a stage where meta has become like a central pillar of bringing offline experience in the digital space. And now concepts like virtual stores, beauty tech, skin enhancements, 3D rendering, interior design, property, all those features, as I would call, have started coming in and enhancing this ecosystem. And that's what I believe is the future as well.
Right. Very useful insights, I think. And I have a follow-up question on it. So you mentioned that it was a tool for buzz creation initially, right? And today it is somehow used at a larger or a broader scale, right? So can you name or can you tell our viewers what kind of use cases are closer to the actual, try on or actual buying journey versus a lot of use cases that are still there in the buzz creation space? Where are we in that scale, if you talk about it?
I think if you look at that horizon of, if you look at a typical funnel, right? Let's say things which are about increasing reach and buzz versus things which are about commerce. right? If we create that scale, there are a lot of marketing campaigns. I don't know if you saw, there are a lot of brands who are doing campaigns where you will have a monument like an India Gate or something, and a helicopter will come and land a lipstick next to it. I don't know what kind of reach it generates, but that is one place where this is all about buzz and social media and getting more likes and shares. On the far other sides, there are much more very complicated serious technologies on beauty tech side. It has the capability of increasing your conversion rates, your average order value. It has the capability of increasing the time, or sorry, reducing the time required for reaching to the final product which the consumer buys, right? And just having that omni-channel experience within a digital ecosystem becomes super important. So we have all kinds of experience on the horizon.
So would you elaborate what Omnichannel is?
With the advent of mobile in everybody's hand and the usage of apps and so on, everybody is buying on all channels, right? So same, let's say, people sitting in the same drawing room in a flat, let's say in a premium flat in Bangalore, one of the person might be going to a DMart to buy their products, the other person might be ordering it from a Zepto on a 10-minute delivery, someone might be getting it from Amazon, someone might be going to a Kirana store, right? In all of these experiences, there is no way for you to differentiate the persona, right? So hence the kind of capability someone going to a DMart, the look and feel, the touch that they want to do with their product, the same experience needs to be replicated on a digital channel so that this consumer buys from there, right? And vice versa. The kind of assortment that you would get in a digital, right, and is something that needs to be replicated in offline.
What do you guys think? How much can like technologies like VR or like the Apple Vision Pro coming in, how immersive can it be? कितना immersive हो सकता है?
It depends. I mean, if when I go to see a property and if there's a model flat, that is the place I'll live. So that is something I want to have, a model flat where I'll roam around, where I'll keep furniture, and I'll envision happy days where, I live there. But let's say, how will the garden look? Or where will the swimming pool be? Or let's say just the introduction to say where is it on earth and what is around it. Those kinds of experiences, something they cannot build out in an offline space, right? So that is something where we can build in like a Apple Pro Vision kind of a landscape, and they can look around to say, okay, this is how you will walk. You have 1 kilometer of running track, and when you look around, this is the greenery you will see near your flat that you are buying. I think that, like a multi-camera perspective of which flat you are buying, what you will see out of the balcony, right? So those kinds of experience can really enhance the value. And as you said, right, the value is so high. I mean, everything we are talking about for a property developer, it's hardly 1 or 2 flats worth of cost, right? So even if their conversion rate increases by marginal, right, that pays for the technology.
So if I have to like explain it to a 5-year-old and who's like just started going to school, that what is this technology? Like, how do I do that?
Right. I think since as the industry evolved, right, everybody as a marketing thing thought that, okay, we'll call it something different. Now Apple came out with spatial computing. Meta calls it metaverse. Apple never calls it metaverse. There are people who say it's MR, who say it's XR, who say it's, for me it's the most basic version, and it kind of covers all the applications. For me, it is just there is AR and there is VR. It's just that for me. And there are headsets like Vision Pro that kind of allow you to combine that. Then in AR also there are multiple ways. So there you might have seen headsets where there is no display. There is like or the display is sort of transparent, right? You can see the real world. So, and then they try to augment some kind of overlay on top of that. So that is real AR, I would say. And then there is pass-through AR, which is there in Vision Pro. So Vision Pro doesn't have you cannot see the world in a transparent way. It records it through a camera and puts it on your screen. Yeah. So it's kind of VR only, but it's VR, but then the feed that is being shown is your real world. So Apple Vision Pro, according to me, is a VR headset only, or a pass-through AR headset, if you have to call it. But to break it down, it's just AR and VR. According to me, AR is when you see the real world and then you augment something on it. That's AR. If there is VR is if you don't see anything of the real world and it is completely virtual.
Please solve this personal problem for me, right? How do I explain to my grandmother what do I do? Because all I tell her is that I run a technology company, and probably that's not enough. And she asked me more questions, but then it gets lost in translation.
I think if I would have to explain it to my grandmother, I would just tell something related to video games because I think she will understand that. And beyond that, I don't think it makes sense because then it won't make sense to explain that to her. But if you have to explain it that way, I think visual computer.
I don't think she will be able to understand.
Yeah, visual computer.
You can show her a beauty tech and put a lipstick for her. Maybe she'll understand the technology. Maybe she'll not respect you a lot.
I actually disagree on that one. I disagree on that one because I have seen a lot of videos where old folks, you show them some AR filters and then they'll start scratching their face. So they don't understand it's a technology. They feel that it's their face. So it's a little difficult.
I actually tried doing what Rahul just mentioned, right? Not on the beauty side, but I put a VR headset, like one of these, on her head once, and forcefully, of course. She was like, what are you putting on me? And forcefully, I asked her to wear it. And it was like a home decor scene. She was in a house, a virtual house, and she was actually sitting on a real sofa. But in the virtual world, it felt to her that she's sitting on that virtual sofa. And in the virtual world, there was a virtual table. So she was holding one of these controllers in her hand and she tried to place it on the virtual table and then it fell down. So I think that is the moment where at least I was able to explain to her that this is the power of an immersive experience where you completely got disconnected from your physical space and you are in a virtual space which can be anything, which is very, very different from your physical space, and the level of immersion was very, very high. So that's how I explained to her once that okay, this is what I do.
I have a follow-up answer on that. So I think anything that is blending virtual and real comes under that umbrella, XR. Now, if I go back in time and think about, Nintendo had launched Nintendo Wii, right, where you could just play tennis with it, and it was not on a headset, but you could still have a physical tennis bat and then you move it, and then on a 2D screen or monitor, you could see that you're playing tennis. Similarly, there are apps like Just Dance who record you from camera, see what your movements are like, and then rate you how good are you dancing. So those are also kind of immersive experience.
Will you call that an XR experience? The dance example, like
so this is my reality, right? And I'm extending that with a digital interface. So it's kind of an extended reality, right? If you call it that. Extending your reality is extended reality.
And that's a good definition.
Yeah. Whenever I have to rearrange my room, I create a 3D model of my room. I actually do it. I create a 3D model of my room. I bring things and I see how it fits. I have you have the measure app on your iPhone or iPad, right? Where you can, in AR, you can measure things. So I actually do it. And one of my friends had to sell a bed recently and he was asking me for a measuring tape. And I told him, go ahead, use this app. He used it and he found it very useful. Okay, this is actually telling me real dimensions. So that way it is really getting used very well if one knows what it is capable of, right? And not in terms of that. I recently saw a video of a lady who was watching her daughter. She is no more. She literally was crying after seeing a video of her daughter. From that video, I started thinking that when I go back to my hometown, I should go back. I should record the complete movement as a volumetric thing. How amazing it would be. Let's say even if down the line my close ones are no more, but I can still feel what they want, what they would say and I can still feel that they are there, right? It's such an amazing, it's near to magic.
But I think one question that remains there is from a technology point of view in terms of the cost, the compute, and the complexity of it. How close are we to that future? I think that can be a question for you. For actually having an ecosystem where we capture images like this and then use it in just send it to my device and then share it with people to experience, and then brands and other folks can become part of that ecosystem in future. Where do you think from a technology point of view we are?
I think so. There are multiple aspects to this. One is realism, how real the end thing looks. Then second is what you talked about, quickly capturing and sharing things. So in all of these departments, problems have been solved to a very good extent. So if you ask me, can we get an exactly real looking thing on an AR device? We can, right? There are ways to capture volumetric data and then render it. It looks the exact same with all the reflections. There are techniques like NERF and Gaussian splatting which have come up, which render the thing exactly as it is. But then obviously computing it is a challenge, right? Now computing that, capturing that, storing it is all fine. But then when it comes to rendering it on a headset, it is again an issue. So today we cannot have a smart glass which is of the form factor that you are using today, right? Till it becomes that, it is difficult for the common users to actually, use it all the time. So that is where that technological gap is, which to some extent companies have solved, and it is yet to mature. With 5G coming, a lot of it may be solved, because what 5G does is it gives you tremendous amount Gbps speeds, right? And when you have that much speed at disposal, you can just stream anything. So if that is possible, then your smart glasses essentially doesn't require compute here. It just has to have a receiver and a dumb display, and whatever compute happens,
move
it
everything
cancels
on the
on.
cloud.
Yes, but yeah, all these problems are like 5G is there, but then it's not there everywhere. Rendering is there, but not everywhere. Then there are headsets with great rendering capabilities, but not everywhere. There are engines that develop these kind of content, but then not everybody uses those engines to the fullest, right? So there are all the parts. I would say all the parts are there. They haven't come together in a synchronized manner and at scale. So when that happens, that I think will be the tipping point of the industry.
At least from my experience, what I have seen is that there are still these smaller use cases that are not so technologically heavy. Like, we were talking about beauty tech earlier, and, from your stint at Unilever, you know a lot more about that than me. But from what my understanding with beauty tech is that it does not require huge amount of compute to be done to serve every customer. But it is solving an actual problem for them. So if somebody is buying makeup for an occasion, even if they go to the store, they can't try everything on their face, right? There's a hygiene issue, there is a product not available issue, I can't try multiple products, I have to wipe my face and all that. I feel that is a technological solution which solves an actual problem and does not require you to invest a lot in technology.
And a lot of companies are now making this mistake of getting flown by this all the hype that is being built, right? So if let's say I know a company which just has like 10 products, right, and they still have a metric on personalization, right? What would you personalize for if you have just 10 products which can be 3 rows on a website, or like 4 rows on an app, right? So then instead of spending there, you should figure out what is the right right way of conversion, what is the right media, what is the right proposition, what is the right brand messaging I should do, and use technology to solve that, right, rather than personalizing it.
Does XR fall under sales, marketing, customer experience? Like, where does XR fall under, like, from a brand perspective?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and there's no clear action. Again, depends on the use case, but Let's go if we talk about, let's say, one particular vertical. Let's say if you're trying to sell something digital and giving an XR based experience, if we take that particular vertical, then it becomes a sales assisted selling tool, right? In the end, it's about assisted selling. I would compare it in an offline store. So let's say you go to a DMart. There you have a person standing who can tell you what product to buy, which product would look good on you if you have a beauty assistant and so on. I would say that is what is the job of XR experience in the digital commerce space for, let's say, FMCG kind of a products or beauty vertical. And for that, it comes under assisted selling. But if you talk about things like 3D ads, or the AR experience of that helicopter experience of sending something next to India Gate, all that would come under marketing and so on. And experiences like which are for let's say diagnosis of your skin, or things which are for a long term engagement for a consumer, I would say they will come under customer success or retention for that matter. So yeah, I mean, different kinds of use cases will come around different verticals. But from a ownership point of view of who should own that capability, would be, let's say, a growth marketer, or let's say a sales lead, because in the end it is assisted selling no matter where in the funnel. So the first thing becomes, I think, conversion rate, which is a super important metric in an A/B testing construct. That is, and conversion rate along with the drive in your average order value and the basket size. Because what is it fundamentally doing? It is telling you, it is showing you more products in the limited amount of time you have, right? It is giving a capability to engage better with the product. So hence, conversion rate should go up. The drop off should be low. Uh, in a medium term, the size of the basket and the average order value should definitely go up. And one important metric which I think is important is the time taken to action, like an add to cart, right? So it should reduce the amount of time that you had in trying and experiencing and engaging, and how fast you went to add to cart or a purchase, or what is the next action. I think these are some of the capabilities. The other aspect of an ROI, which is very important, is generally from an XR point of view, these are decent size investments, but generally they have a fixed investment, right? The cost, the variable cost is not very high. You have, let's say, you have a license to, let's say, a Metadome platform. Then the variable cost is not super high, but let's say a fixed cost is a decent investment. In that case, you have to figure out whether using this tech, you are actually able to scale the consumer base as well, who's coming, taking this experience, right? So I think those are some of the important capabilities, and then using this technology into for getting into more channels or more consumers, or doing experiential ads would actually add more value to it. So I think a combination of typical funnel conversion matrices designed for XR in a A/B testing framework, and how can you actually use it to increase the consumer base or the denominator for ROS calculation, becomes super important. These things combined could actually help in a brand in figuring the ROS. The other aspect is that it is a long-term play. You cannot just switch on an XR experience or a beauty tech on your platform and think that it will start generating revenue, or a very high ROI, because based on your brand, it needs to be established on where it comes in the journey, what part of the funnel is important for that experience, whether it is retention driving or whether it is engagement driving. Once you have those nuances fixed, it will take you time to figure out, even on a product page, where should that button of trying an XR comes in. So once you play around with that, it will take, I think, minimum it will take 3 to 5 months for some company to figure out how exactly to use it. And then is after that is when you should start even considering ROI for a technology like this.
Got it. So was it worth the pain? Like, because I understand, measuring is
Yeah.
still a little trivial,
Yeah.
right? So was it worth the pain?
Yeah, definitely. I think across the industry, there are two lenses to it. One is basically customer delight. For that, it is a definite great to have technology on your platform where the customer can come, the experience, people coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, uh, uh, having a very mature relation with the product through that. So customer delight is a very big important metric that it moves for sure. And definitely for, I think, across different businesses, across different kinds of resources that we talk about, the ROI also is something which is good across. I think I've talked to so many brands and so many companies who are using XR now, and a large part of it, people who are serious tell me that it is worth the investment.
He's been also seeing VR since 2015. I don't know when you decided to, start developing. Maybe you can talk and give some context to our audience on what inspired or what events transpired you to enter.
So I think the inspiration. So I relied on just one thing, which is I will do what I love to do. That was the most basic principle of my college life. So till the time I didn't find out what I wanted to do, I never pursued it. So and it was a coincidence, like you said. I went to the lab, and I, thanks to my professor, I would like to name him Mr. J. Mehti. He is a great man who actually envisioned it. Not even the computer science department of IIT Kharagpur visualized it. He envisioned it, and he established a lab. And I went to that lab for the first time, and my mind was blown with what I saw. And that somehow connected to my childhood, because I have been playing games since I was 4 years old. And I play games. I have played all sorts of games. So I have been a gamer since my childhood. And this is where we did JE because I loved maths, physics, right? And this was the perfect blend of technology combined with maths, combined with physics. This is the perfect blend. It was like my calling. So I could not have not pursued it. So I just went ahead with it. Actually, that time the complete campus placements, there was no VR company. There was no VR company in India that time. Maybe 1-2 people were trying it out. So campus placements were far-fetched. And the machine learning was booming that time. So there were people who were doing machine learning just for the sake of getting job, because it was getting popular. But I thought I'll stick to what I want to do, and that somehow led me here. And then it has always been the pursuit of the tech. What deep is there inside the tech? So I tried building a lot of things on game engines. Then I realized that there's a lot of deeper side to this tech. A lot of different technologies combined to form XR. XR we see as a visual thing, but if you look at it from a VR AR lens, there is a lot to it. The battery needs to be small. The optics needs to be sorted out. There is judder when you move. The compute needs to happen real time and come to both your eyes. There are a lot of computations that happen. So this kind of I would say XR is a complete technology. It's a combination of multiple aspects and not just one single thing. So that is what got me excited, and just the curiosity of diving deeper into it. I tried to uncover whatever I could, and then that's where we are here.
There are so many numbers that get thrown around. $30 billion industry,
Right.
$50 billion industry. Sometimes, I'm just reading this NVIDIA report that came out, I think in April this year.
Yeah.
That visualization industry is $2 billion.
Okay.
And visualization being just one part of XR, and then XR being $8 billion or $10 billion. And these are all speculations.
Yeah.
Right? There's no number to this that anyone can be right or wrong on. But just would love to know what you guys think about opportunity in terms of anyone who's thinking about starting up.
So I think from a perspective of whether this becomes big in terms of the billion-dollar values and the things that you talked about. I think it's a matter of when it happens rather than if it happens, right? If I in my personal perspective, I look at it, it is about to be the smartphone moment for XR very soon, right? I don't know if you have seen this movie Blackberry, in recently launched on Amazon Prime, where they talk about how difficult was it to get so many features on a BlackBerry phone, right? With the limited bandwidth capacity that they had then, right? And after that, comparatively, it became much more easier on an iPhone, because till that time the data landscape and so on and so forth evolved, right? So I think we are in that phase where the cost of devices are going down, the quality is becoming increasingly better. The kind of things that he talked about from a jittering and all those experiential point of view, it's becoming better. So it is, I believe it is going to hit us very, very soon. And let's say when I was 10-15 years back, my father used to say, you are always on your phone 24/7. I think I'll talk to my daughter to say, you are always in metaverse, or you are always on wearing your head device, right? So I think that is what is the future, definitely, right? And as you know, Sam Altman recently said that it's I don't have a problem with how many billions I burn, as because I will set up AGI, right, artificial general intelligence, and when that happens, there is no turning back, right? And I think from a meta perspective also, when that happens, that device becomes a commodity like a smartphone. That is when the experiences, the apps, the commercial use cases become available at scale, and that is when this technology will zoom in. And when that happens, there are so many use cases which are still getting ready to evolve, right? From things like influencer engagements, to things like creating your own play area, and partying with friends together in an ecosystem. The whole landscape of metaverse itself will become much more relevant as those costs come down, and that is what I believe is the future.
I think the best thing that happened for us as XR enthusiasts, right, is Facebook rebranding themselves completely to Meta. Nobody would have thought about it. Thanks to Mark Zuckerberg, that he changed the complete course of Facebook, which could have been just a social media platform, but now it is more. The focus of the company has gone towards the headsets, the VR. Facebook is the one that is pushing the complete narrative. There's actually a very smart reason to that, because Facebook, what did Facebook own before? They had WhatsApp, they had Instagram, right? All are apps. These apps sit on the phones that are owned by somebody else, right? These apps are downloaded through Play Stores that are owned by somebody else. So what is the next level of ownership that Facebook could have got? So there is no way they can bring a new phone and commercialize it to the same level as all the Android phones or like all the iPhones. There is no way, because all the other companies are directly ahead of it. So what new? So then comes the question of creating a new market itself. So that is what he is pushing, and because of it, and now the way the ecosystem is evolving. Before, the headset was very clunky, but if you have experienced Quest 3, it has become very light now. The controllers, I have a HTC Vive, which has like this big controller, and Quest 3 has just small controllers, and it even has hand tracking, so you can keep your controllers down and control things with your hand. And this is today. They are working on headsets that do not require a huge battery, like split rendering kind of thing they require. So they are working on those kind of headsets also. So as long as companies like big tech, they keep on pushing this side of things, opportunity becomes larger and larger. Obviously, they'll own the hardware, they'll own the Play Stores, but then the application market is completely open, because there are no players today. And the moment these headsets are actually come to that form factor, then it's like, okay, now imagine you are living in the era where Android got launched today. Imagine that era. Now you have a huge opportunity of building all the apps that are there in the market today. That will open up for XR eventually. So there's a very big opportunity given the ecosystem that has been formed keeps pushing the way it has been, and I think it will, because of the AI wave, GPUs are becoming cheaper. They will eventually become very cheap because AI compute is a heavy problem. They want to solve it, and people solving it for AI compute will solve it for XR. XR was not the need; it was something that people wanted, but AI has become the need now. So that need will solve for XR is what I think eventually. So that was the end of the podcast. I hope you had a great time watching us talk about XR. If you want to know more about how this field is going to evolve, we'll have a lot of guests coming up. I'll be there. Kanav will also be there most probably. And you'll get to learn a lot about this industry as a whole and how this shapes us. And if you found this podcast useful, please do comment and let us know what kind of guests do you want on this show, what kind of things would you like to see, and what kind of aspects of the XR industry you want us to cover. We'll make sure we cover all that. And with that, we end this episode. See you in the next one.